Well, hey, you guys, welcome to the Connection Pointe Worldview Podcast. It's a podcast designed to take you deeper into places that your student has already gone. And it's fall here in Indiana, and I'm here with Zach Brightenbach, Dr., Pastor, Reverend, the good man, the good friend, Zach Brightenbach, right here with me. Welcome, Zach.
Thank you.
My name is Ron, and Trey is often with us, but not always, and he's not in today. But we're recapping really, really important couple of lessons here over this next few episodes called Jesus Skeptic. It's a series that you guys have been doing with both the high schoolers and middle schoolers at Connection Pointe. So, Dr. Zach, what was the goal of this entire series? What did you aim to do in the first lesson?
Yeah, so Jesus Skeptic is a book, one of a number of books that Pastor John Dickerson, head pastor of Connection Pointe, has written.
Yep.
And so this series is going to track with Jesus Skeptic, this book. John wrote this about his journey of investigating Christianity as he was deciding whether he thought that it was true. And sort of the goal of the series is to show how Christianity has impacted the world. So lesson one, what we're going to talk about in this podcast, is going to talk about sort of internal evidence. People who have tried Jesus and seen their lives changed for the better, how they found fulfillment. Pastor John actually wrote this lesson that we taught. So we're going to talk about that. Then we're going to get in lessons 2 to 3 about external evidence. So how has Jesus and those following Jesus changed the world externally? And we'll see that Christians have made a huge impact in the world in terms of education and science, medicine, promoting justice, human rights, that kind of thing, because they're following in the teachings of Jesus. And then we're going to come back to the internal side of things in the fourth lesson. We'll see sort of how does following Jesus give you fulfillment. This lesson we're talking about people that have tried Jesus have found he does give them fulfillment, but how does that happen? What is it about Christianity that meets your deepest needs and fulfills you like nothing else can? So that's kind of where we're going in the series.
Awesome, super helpful. Which, by the way, if you want to get your hands on a copy of Jesus Skeptic, you can get it really anywhere that books are sold, but Amazon is often the quickest way, and a really, really good read. Pastor John starts off by talking about what he thought would bring him fulfillment when he was young. So what did he say? What did he think would fulfill him, and how did that end up turning out?
Yeah, so as a kid, anyone who knows John at all probably knows the answer to this. He thought cars or anything with wheels was going to be the path to ultimate happiness.
Right.
And so he's just always been obsessed with cars. He would go through car magazines, even as a kid. And he thought if I could just have all the most amazing cars, that what could be better in life than that. And in fact, when he got older, he used to be a journalist, a really good journalist, and he was in charge of the press fleet. So whenever car manufacturers like Jaguar or Porsche or BMW or whatever would make a new car model, they would make these cars available to journalists like John, and he would test drive these cars for free and just write about them.
Yeah.
So he said he was 23 years old. He wasn't even old enough, to like rent an economy car.
Yeah,
but he could drive whatever fancy car he wanted all around, and it would just be delivered to his door. And he just thought, that was awesome. But what he discovered was, this didn't completely fulfill his life, right? If he was having a bad week, his girlfriend broke up with him, whatever, it was still a bad week, even if he's got the most amazing car to drive.
Yep.
So he found that it wasn't really the ultimate fulfillment he might have thought that it would be.
Yeah, well, that's a bummer because I'm still chasing it. No, just kidding. I do remember those days, though.
Yeah.
I remember being high school and thinking, if you just had the right car, then everything falls into place. So it's kind of silly, but well, if cars aren't the answer, then what did Jesus say would bring us lasting fulfillment?
Yeah, so what Jesus says is, like in John 10:10, I have come that they may have life and have it to the full.
Hmm.
So Jesus claimed that he can give you the fullest life. He didn't just claim to be a good teacher or a spiritual guru or something like that. He claimed to be God, the one who designed you, the one who spoke the universe into existence. So as a skeptical journalist, John was exploring whether Jesus even lived. And then once he was convinced of that, he wanted to explore whether Jesus' words are true. Is it really true that Jesus can give you this ultimate fulfillment that he claims that he could, right? What kind of person claims that he can give you life to the full? It's kind of a bold thing to say. You don't meet too many people who tell you, if you follow me, you're going to have life to the full.
Yeah.
But Jesus said that, and he said in John 4:14, "Whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst." So here he's talking about Jesus is talking about ultimate fulfillment. That if you accept him into your life, you'll always be satisfied. You'll always have your thirst met. So these are really bold claims. And so John wanted to explore this. Is this really true? That could Jesus give you lasting fulfillment that nothing else can? And so Jesus Skeptic kind of tracks his exploration of that.
That's really cool, because I think a lot of us have been on that journey. A lot of people are still on that journey, and to now kind of get to ride along with John on his journey, it's helpful because he learned a lot along the way, and we can too. So, if you've ever been in a riptide or rafted in rivers with a strong current, the power of a current should never be underestimated. So no matter how strong you are, if you step into the wrong current, the current's going to take you wherever it's going. It can trap you or even destroy you, really, So what are some of the currents, so to speak, that we might try to follow to find fulfillment in life?
Yeah, so John talks about how he even tells a story about his brother who was trying to walk across the top of a waterfall in Canada and got just swept down the waterfall. And they didn't know if he was going to pop back up. He said his brother was an athletic, strong guy, but no match for the current. And so water currents tend to take you wherever they're going.
Yeah.
They're very powerful. And so there's a lot of currents in life that we can follow and thinking, this is going to take us where we want to go. This is where we're going to find fulfillment. It could be things like possessions, like cars or like technology or clothes or just having money, having beauty. Any of these things, we think, well, if I just had that, I'll be fulfilled. Could be popularity, if I have fame, if I get all these followers on social media, a bunch of likes, a bunch of views, if people know who I am, then I'll be someone and life will matter and I'll have fulfillment. Or maybe it's achievements like your grades or sports or music or just pleasing your parents or whatever. Could be experiences. If I could just go on all these amazing vacations and travel the world and go to concerts, date all these people, have all these kind of relationships. Maybe it's consuming things like drugs or alcohol, sex, pornography, lots of things people can try and think, if I follow this current, if I see where this leads, I think it's going to lead to fulfillment in my life. It's going to give me what I'm looking for. I feel like I'm missing something.
Make them happy.
And it's going to make me happy.
Yeah.
So we try a lot of things. But what about stepping into the Jesus current, right? John realized eventually the only way to know if the Jesus current is going to carry you to fulfillment or not is you got to step in and find out, right? See where it's led other people and try it for yourself and see where that current takes you. And he realized cars wasn't the right thing. Yeah. So what is it going to be?
So that's interesting because it's not then just an intellectual or academic sort of knowledge based only. It's experiential.
Right.
That's interesting.
Yes.
So
you got to step in and try it out.
Right, which that makes a lot of sense. In John's days as a journalist, Pastor John spent months exploring the lives of people he wrote about. He tells the story of two different men that he investigated and found both of them were looking for fulfillment but really weren't finding it. So Can you tell us about their stories and what we can learn from them?
Yeah, he talks about these two different people when he was a journalist. He not only got to write about cars, but he got to write about people. And so he would spend just months with these people. He would go all over with them. He'd visit their childhood home. He'd investigate people who knew them closely, and he'd talk to them. And so he would just try to see all the different angles of who this person is and was. And so he tells in this message two different people that he had researched. The first person is his name was Scott Coles, and Coles was a billionaire. And he had it all by the standards of the world. By the time he was 42, he was worth over $1 billion. He had just luxurious homes in Phoenix, in Aspen, in San Diego. His garages were filled with all these expensive cars. Had a beautiful wife. He had kids. He had all these things. But at the age of 48, back in 2008, Scott Coles ended his own life.
Oh, gosh.
And this was a person that John had researched and studied and knew all about him, knew how much he had.
Right.
But despite everything, despite all the stuff that he had, it didn't satisfy him. He was empty, and he ultimately felt like he was left without any true hope, and he took his life.
Jeez.
So that was one of the stories that John talks about. And
you hear that a lot in the, celebrities or music world, or, that famous people we've heard of that have everything from a worldly standpoint. But
right. And it doesn't do it. Just being famous and rich and having everything the world thinks, well, if I just had that, my life would be amazing.
Right.
It doesn't seem to work that way.
Right.
But then John tells a story of another person who similarly seemed to have all the things that the world would want. This person's name is Brian Welch, and he was it still is, he's still alive, a wealthy Grammy-winning musician, and he was from the group Korn, which is used to be very, very popular group in the 90s and early 2000s. He was a famous guitarist. And so he'd won 2 Grammy Awards, including like Best Metal Performance, Best Music Video. He was, they were number 1 on the Billboard 200. He had all this money, just millions of albums sold. Everything that life seems to say is amazing. He had it, fame and wealth and whatnot, and success. But his life was not good, right? Mm-hmm. He was addicted to drugs. He would hit his wife. He would endanger his child. He would just lock himself in the back of his tour bus to escape from reality. He was not finding what he was looking for. Mm-hmm. He thought he should have it because he had all of his goals to be this amazing musician were met, but he still was just in a miserable place. But for Brian Welch, it ended differently than with Scott Coles. Because he eventually found God. And he told that to John. He says, eventually I found God, and he was like, this is all I've ever wanted. I didn't find what I was looking for in all that other stuff, he said. But I found it when I found God, and his life just completely turned around.
That's amazing. I actually did an event with Brian like almost 20 years ago.
Cool.
And it was the sweetest, kindest, gentlest, he looks like a full-blown rock star, but as intimidating as he appeared, he was just the sweetest. So that's such a cool story, and what a contrast to the other gentleman. So tell us then how you concluded the lesson. Talk about the challenge you gave at the end.
Yeah. So basically, what all this is building up to, and what John says at the end, he's like, if you're seeking fulfillment and inner rest, and who isn't, right? Then you're the kind of person that Jesus invites and helps. Jesus wants you to have the fullest life. He wants to meet your needs. He wants to fulfill you. He doesn't force himself on you, but he makes himself available, and he's the best thing for you. He's the only thing for you that's going to give you the ultimate fulfillment that we all want, that hole that's in our heart. He's the only one that can really fill it. And that's what the Bible says too, that we shouldn't be ashamed of the gospel. Paul wrote in Romans 1, I'm not ashamed of the gospel because it's the power of God that brings salvation to everyone who believes. And that is the answer, is the gospel, is Jesus, the good news about what he has done for you. And so Jesus invites you to find fulfillment and rest that only he can provide. So we gave this final challenge. One, just jump into the Jesus current, right? If you haven't already, see where it takes you. Try it out. You have to try it, and you'll see if Jesus can really do the things that he claimed that he can do for you and give you that ultimate fulfillment. And then abandon lesser currents, right? Instead of chasing fulfillment in all the wrong places, focus on seeing whether Jesus can satisfy you, and I think you'll find that he does. And then invite others along the way. Invite friends who need that fulfillment as well.
That's awesome. Well, as we wrap up each episode, we usually like to leave the parents or guardians with a question that they might want to discuss with their student. So as we wrap it up, what's a good question parents can have a conversation with their student about concerning this lesson?
Yeah, maybe ask your student, what are the main ways you've looked for fulfillment in your life? Maybe it was sports or grades.
That'd be a good conversation.
Yeah, it would. I would. Maybe it's friends, approval. Who knows what it would be? But I think it'll be very interesting to find out. You probably already can suspect what your student might say. And then ask them, how might Jesus offer something deeper than all of those? How might Jesus, if Jesus is really who he claimed to be, how might following him and committing your life to him offer you things that none of those other things possibly could? And I think that'll lead to a good discussion.
That's great. Well, as you have that conversation and as you yourself process a lot of this good information here, just please know we're praying for you. We're praying for you as parents, or leaders maybe in the lives of students. We're praying for your kids as well. And so if there's anything that you need, please feel free to reach out to the church and let us know what those needs are or other questions that you've got, and we can maybe work those into future episodes too. Otherwise,